Welcome back to the channel. I'm Old Man Abin, and the purpose of my channel is to help young adults navigate their way through their complicated world by giving them a different perspective to consider. A perspective that comes from looking back at the same choices that I made when I was your age, and what I learned in the process of my successes and my failures. Today I want to talk to you about unscrambling your life, or as I like to call it, compartmentalizing your life. If you've ever cracked open an egg, you know that it has three parts, three compartments. It has a yolk, it has a white, and it has a shell. One egg, three different components. Now, the most popular way to cook eggs is to scramble them. So you take the egg, you crack it open, you toss away the shell because it's done its purpose, and now you have two components left, the yolk and the white. So you take the egg and you manipulate it from its natural state by beating it, and now it's one component, no longer two. And once the egg has been scrambled, it can no longer be used for some things like over easy eggs or poached eggs or the sauce for eggs Benedict. It can only be used in a limited capacity. So by scrambling the egg, you take away options that you originally had for the egg before it was scrambled. Now, in the same way, our lives have many different compartments. We have a personal compartment inside that holds our private thoughts, our hopes, and our dreams. Nobody else knows about those things unless we choose to tell them. We have a relationship compartment that holds the thoughts and the things you share with that special person that you have chosen to be with in your life. You have a work compartment. The work compartment is everything that we bring to the job that we have to do to make a living. We have a recreation compartment. It's made up of our hobbies and our interests. And we could just go on and on listing all of the different compartments in our life. But as a society, we have lost most of those compartment separations. And our lives have become scrambled. Everything mixed in together. No compartments, no separation. And technology has done that. Technology has made our world smaller, they say. We have access to incredible amounts of information, but it has also taken something from us. We have access to unlimited knowledge, but we have no way of knowing whether what we are finding is true. Technology does not give us guaranteed true information. It's hard to find the truth by looking online. You can find all kinds of things about the subject that you are looking up, but you have no idea whether it's true or whether it's not. Technology has not given us what we were promised. When I was a kid, before computers and smartphones, I know that was a long time ago, they taught us in school that technology was going to create these amazing labor-saving devices that would shrink our work weeks down to 3 days a week. They taught us that technology would give us the ability to have more recreation time and more spare time to pursue our interests because it wouldn't take nearly as long to get our job done because of all the labor-saving devices. But that was a lie, because what technology actually did was make it so that we can never unplug from work or the other things in our life that demand our attention. We can never have a moment of solitude and peace. Now, it used to be, when I was young, that people couldn't get a hold of you for hours or even days at a time. When you left work on Friday night, there was no way to reach you until you came back to work on Monday morning. If you went camping, or if you went on a vacation, or even if you just went for a walk on an evening or went to an evening at the movies. You were completely isolated from the corporate world and the world that demands your attention. And so instead of giving us labor-saving devices that would shorten our work week, technology has made it possible for work to be in contact with us all the time, 24 hours a day, and be much more productive. You can't even go to the bathroom in peace, because if they want you, they'll get you. So you can't avoid your boss, and they own you 24/7. Now, this all began happening with pagers in the 80s, and then it escalated even more when cell phones came out in the 90s. In the 80s and the 90s, I was working at a public utility in the natural gas department, and a big part of my job was being on call for after-hours emergency calls after normal working hours. So I would work during the day, and then every so many nights a week, I would have to be on call. And then on the other nights, somebody else would have to be on call. But somebody had to be on call all the time. So at first, when we were taking calls, we had to stay home and we had to stay by the phone. So that if the phone rang and it was my night on call, I had to be there to answer it. But then pagers came out. And then you could go wherever you wanted, as long as if that pager went off, you could reach your company and respond within 10 minutes. But then cell phones came out, and they had us 24 hours a day. You could never escape their reach. They knew that they could reach you any time of day because you had a cell phone in your pocket. So companies began to hire less people and instead demand more of the people they had. Because of technology, if you wanted your job, you had to work harder. You had to work more. You had to work when they wanted you to. Now, we couldn't afford cell phones when they first came out. They were very expensive. So the companies bought the cell phones and gave them to you to take home. Now, our lives, they go through seasons. Everybody's life. When you're in the season of high school, you focus on sports and school activities, your friends, getting your driver's license, and all those type of things. When you're in your 20s, your young adult season, you go to college, you learn trade, you get a real job, you pursue relationships and start to make plans for your future. And as we move through the seasons of our lives, priorities will change. In my 20s, I got married, and I was trying to get ahead and trying to buy a home and make the payments on my car loan, and I was feeling all kinds of financial pressure. So I took all of the overtime that I could possibly get at work to pay for our life. I was carrying a pager, and then I was carrying a cell phone, and they rang a lot, and I made a lot of money. But in my 30s, my priorities changed. Now I had kids, and I wanted to make memories with my family, so I took a step back from work, and I cut out most of the overtime because I wanted to have my weekends and evenings free to go to softball games and camping trips and other family adventures. But work didn't like that, not one bit. And they started complaining about how I was unavailable so much of the time and that I needed to step up and be more of a company man. My church even began to complain that I was missing a lot of Sundays. So one day, I went into the office and I looked my boss in the eye and I said, listen, this job is not my life. I know you'd like it to be my life, but it's not my life. This job is something that I do to make money so that I can afford my life. My life is somewhere away from here. Now, I will do the best job for you that I can during normal working hours, but I will not sacrifice my kids' softball games, camping trips, and vacations for my job. And I told my pastor similarly way. I said, spending time with my family is never going to be cut short because you think that I'm missing too many Sunday morning services. And I know why the church was so concerned, because was I giving my tithes if I wasn't there on Sunday? I watch people today struggle with their lives because everything is scrambled together. No compartments. Everything is mixed in together. Nothing is separate. And they constantly stay connected to everything all the time. They can't eat a meal as a family without constant interruptions from everyone staring at their devices. They go to their child's soccer game and spend the whole time with their cell phone instead of watching the game. It's because our lives are scrambled. Every part is blended together with each and every other part, and all done at the same time. You can't watch a movie or play a game or sit on the porch or sit around a fire pit and unplug for a couple hours without someone needing to check their socials. So this is where one of my old man Abanisms come in. I've said everything in this video so far to say this, and you're going to hear me say that as you watch more of these videos. I've said everything in this video so far to say this and make this point, and here it is. The purpose of this channel is to let young adults see a different perspective than the one that they currently have. Now, I know that if you were born in the late 90s or 2000s, that living focused on your devices and your work and never unplugging is normal and comfortable. But listen to the words of an old man who has lived through all of the seasons of life that you have lived through so far. But I've also lived through the ones that are yet to come for you. Compartmentalize your life. Unscramble it. When you're at work, give 100%. But when you're with your family, close that work compartment and be 100% present with your partner and your kids. Not a single person has ever on their deathbed said, I wish that I would have spent more time on work. Or I wish that I would have logged in more hours on my devices. But I guarantee you that many, many people have had regret that their children grew up being raised by other people. Regrets that they lived with someone but were never really connected heart to heart and face to face with them. The average teenager spends about 32 minutes a day interacting with their parents. That includes breakfast in the morning, supper at night. And how many of those 32 minutes are actually done while being distracted by their devices? When you're at work, be at work, 100%. But when you're home, be present. Be there now. It's not going to ruin you if you disconnect for 8 hours and reconnect with the people who mean the most to you. Invest in your family. Go putt-putt golfing. Go camping. Go mountain biking. Trust me, it goes by so fast. You can always make more money after your kids leave home, but you can never make more time. Once it's gone, it's gone. So spend it wisely. Cherish each moment, each opportunity. Connect with the ones that you have. Don't miss opportunities because you'll never get them back. Well, that's it for today. Hit the like button if this video was helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me in the future. And leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Or maybe you have a question about a topic that I could give you some perspective with. Have a great day, my friends. We'll see you on the next one.